I'm not a married man, but anytime I think about the prospect of getting married, I envision the future Mrs. MotoMan driving around in a Volvo station wagon, a blue one at that. But I'm kind of rethinking that whole picture. I like the idea of her driving around in a diesel that gets somewhat good fuel economy, but when I have to take the Rugrats to school, I can have some fun in the canyons. So I'll admit it, I'm a little perplexed that this vehicle can do this. 5,000 pounds and 240 horsepower shouldn't go around corners like this.
Don't let MotoMan hear this, but his sense of self-confidence for pushing this car through the canyons really comes from the suspension of the automobile. It has air suspension with a stiffness adjustment from inside the cab and also height control from inside the cab. But who am I to burst MotoMan's bubble? I'll let him think he's a great Grand Prix driver.
So just a generic side note here, the dashboard, the controls. You know how Mercedes, BMW, and all these guys are going with these generic controller things like a mouse? Do me a favor, keep the mouse on my Mac. I'm an aviation geek. I love seeing all the buttons. And when they first started doing the buttons on the Porsches in the Panamera, and then it went to the Cayenne, and then they decided to put it on the 911, and now the Boxster, I'm liking that. I want to see all the buttons, especially at night where I have all these options to play with toys. I mean, I'm ADD. That's just my deal. I think most people are nowadays. This kind of keeps you focused on the car instead of fooling around with your phone. So it's kind of like a built-in safety mechanism, and Porsche didn't design it that way. Bravo!
The big news here today is that for the first time in America, the Cayenne is offered with a V6 turbocharged diesel engine. It's the same engine that's offered in the Q7 Audi, 240 horsepower. But there are some things about it that stand out, so let's take a look at them. When you look into the engine compartment, you can see it has a dry sump lubrication system for the engine. But the block material is very interesting. It's called compact graphite iron, and it is stronger than aluminum and lighter than cast iron. So it takes less mass to make the same size block, and you end up with a stronger block that weighs less.
So Porsche has a very unique talent, and it's not making a 4,800-pound SUV with a diesel engine go around corners. It's getting you to buy lots of options. This car has a somewhat reasonable base price of $55,000. Not bad when you consider what it is and what it can do. But this very one sitting here, it has a module for the telephone where you can put your SIM card as if Bluetooth is not enough, $250. Extended wheel arches in body color, $1,200. 18-way adjustable seats, $2,200. A panoramic sunroof, that's another $2,000. Here's my favorite. You see these cool wheels here? They are very nice, and they're from the Turbo S. $6,500 for a grand total of $95,000.
Lately, we've been noticing a trend towards bigger and bigger brakes on the high-end cars that we've been checking out, and this Cayenne is no exception. It has an 1.5 inch thick brake rotor with vented center, 14 inches in diameter with a 13-inch brake caliper, 6 pistons in it. And the finish on everything is magnificent. The caliper is finished to give it a protection against corrosion and heat, and it has such a wonderful aesthetic to it. It looks like a high-end rifle barrel.
At the end of the day, the main reason why people buy diesels is fuel economy, even if you're buying a $95,000 diesel. And here's the thing, around town, which is mainly how I've driven this thing, I'm doing between 22 and 24 mpg in a 5,000-pound vehicle. That's incredible.
One of the most significant characteristics of any diesel engine is the torque output. This is a graphic example. The same car with a 3-liter V6 gas engine produces 295 foot-pounds of torque. The same car with a 420 horsepower V8 produces 381 foot-pounds of torque. This car, with a 3-liter turbocharged diesel, produces 406 pounds of torque at 1,750 RPMs. That's enough to pull a house trailer over the Rocky Mountains. When's the last time you did that in a Porsche?
I think I know a perfect customer for this car. You know, if you're somebody that has a joint up in Vail, Colorado, and you want to just have a really nice car, but that's capable to get over the Vale Pass, this is your vehicle.
Besides the outrageously robust size of these stabilizer bars, I love these extruded aluminum mounts that hold it to the subframe, and I've never really seen anything quite like it on a production vehicle. Porsche has been very forthright in telling everyone that they developed this vehicle along with the Audi Q7 and the Touareg. Well, when you get underneath, you can see that various components come from all over Europe, including Hungary, Austria, even Poland.
So I'll admit I wasn't a big fan of the Cayenne when it first came out, but then I went to Alabama, spent some time with Daniel, and absolutely fell in love with the 400 horsepower S model. Then I came home, drove the turbo, and it's like mind-numbingly fast, but it gets like 1.1 mpg. So the turbo diesel Cayenne kind of changes things. Do you get the one that's going to drain your bank account and fuel bills, but you're going to have a lot of fun along the way? Or do you get this one where you could honestly go home to the wife and say, but it gets great MPG? Okay, so here's the script. For a new MotoMan film every week, click subscribe. And to get a sneak peek of what's coming up on the show, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, MotoManTV, all one word.